Hi everyone, Rod Armande, immigration and personal injury attorney, here to give you a few updates about immigration. Number one is that the family-based and employment-based adjustment of status applications for a green card, the interviews are back. I made a video about 2 months ago saying this and people questioned it, but obviously there's been hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people scheduled for interviews. I myself have clients who I filed the application a year ago and they're being scheduled for interviews coming up here in May. I have several of these. So interviews are back for family-based applications, and we're seeing it for some employment-based applications for adjustment of status. That means people who are inside the United States and they're filing based on a petition from a family member, or they're based on a petition from an employer. So number two is that Stokes interviews, which is fraud interviews for spousal-based green cards. So if your spouse is petitioning for you, those are back. What does that mean? They are separating the petitioner, the United States citizen, typically, sometimes green card holder citizen spouse, permanent resident spouse, but usually U.S. citizen spouse, and the non-citizen spouse. They will separate you, the beneficiary who's the non-citizen. They will separate you during these interviews. They will ask one of you a series of questions, and then they will bring the other person and they will ask the same series of questions, and they want those answers basically almost to mirror each other. There shouldn't be that many discrepancies. There's obviously criticism of this type of interviews, but it typically, obviously if you're married, you're in a real marriage. I haven't had any issues. I have seen some officers, not conduct these interviews that properly, and it can cause issues. So it's very, very important now more than ever that you hire an attorney and they go with you to these interviews, because although the attorney cannot answer the questions for you, they can intervene if an officer is abusing their power, or they can intervene to clarify some things, and they can sometimes ask some questions, and I certainly do, of my client, and we basically are able to clear up issues that if the client was there by themselves, they don't even know what's going on. They don't even know that this officer sometimes is really kind of trying to pigeonhole them or trap them into something. And so, obviously this can happen to people. If you're in a fraudulent marriage, then obviously, you're in a fraudulent marriage, you shouldn't do that. But if I've seen this happen to real marriages, people who are seriously married in good faith, and it's not for the purpose of getting a green card, and they still have issues. So people don't think just because, hey, I'm in a real marriage, I really love her, I really love him, he loves me, don't think that means that you're not gonna have issues at these interviews. The questions, number three, and I'll go over the questions in a minute, but number three is that obviously today, April 11th, the registration rule is in effect. Now, despite a motion of stay and preliminary injunction that was filed, that was denied. So what does that mean? That basically the rule goes into effect today, April 11th, as it was originally published. So now, if you see my last video, I went in depth into details about who needs to register, but basically for the purpose of this video, very quickly, most people are registered unless you entered without inspection and you don't have a pending application. You've never been in court or something, then you're not registered. And so now you should consult with an attorney as to whether you should register or not. A lot of attorneys believe this is a trap if you need to register, but obviously this is not attorney advice, and there's a lot of ethical boundaries that every attorney is subject to when you're counseling somebody for this registration rule. All we can do is give you information, but you need to consult with an attorney specifically about your facts of your case and see if you will make an informed decision as to whether you're going to register or not. Obviously, if you don't register, or you register, you're still subject to being removed if you don't have status and you have no legal, lawful pathway to getting status. So now, let's go to the interviews of family-based adjustment of status applications. Just keep in mind, regardless of whether you have a criminal history, whether you think this is a straightforward application, or regardless of whether, so you think it's a straightforward application, so you don't have criminal history, maybe you don't have any adverse immigration history, such as like any inadmissibility issues, such as like an overstay of a visa, you weren't in removal proceedings before, you don't have a deportation order, you could still be scheduled for an interview, and you will be, most likely. That's what we're seeing. There is no more interview waiver notice that was going on in the last 3-4 years. Everyone almost basically is going to get scheduled for an interview. That's what we expect, and that's what we are seeing on a large scale. Now, some people, I had a recent DACA applicant who had done advanced parole and had gone and came back and executed that parole. So his entry without inspection became paroled, and he has a United States citizen wife. He has several United States citizen children. Fortunately, we filed his application late last year, and his approval came in just a month ago without an interview. So there are a few lucky people who are gonna still have no interview scheduled, but most people moving forward expect for an interview to be scheduled. Now, as far as what I mentioned earlier with the Stokes fraud interview, where they are separating the spouses. This is specifically for spousal-based green card applications. Now, this is reports from Phoenix, Arizona and Seattle, Washington field offices that they're separating them. And we have seen an increase across all field offices nationwide. The only office that we know as of right now is in San Jose, California, that is saying they're not doing these interviews, these separation of people for spousal green cards, and that could change any day now. So about those, be prepared. Have an attorney prepare you. They will ask you so many weird questions that, you know, even married couples sometimes miss. But basically they could ask you like, what did you have for dinner last night? These are simple, right? If you had dinner together, you did. If you didn't, don't lie, right? So, but you know, who cooks, who sleeps on what side of bed, who wakes up earlier, who goes to bed earlier. I mean, it's just so many different questions they can ask you. How did you meet, of course? You know, how did your relationship develop? Who proposed? How was the proposal? Where was the marriage? Was there a ceremony? Was there not? Questions about each other's family members, parents, stuff like that. These are all fair game, guys. So be prepared. Consult with an attorney should you need an attorney to help you with these types of interviews, because they are back. All right, guys, if you need me, give me a call or go to my bio and just click on the link there to go to my website, Rod Armande Law. Take care, guys.